When I moved into the quiet suburban neighborhood, I imagined peace, fresh air, and time to enjoy my small garden. The space wasn't extravagant, just a mix of native flowers, a few shrubs, and vegetables I grew for my family. Most neighbors smiled when they passed, but one woman, Karen, always scowled. She claimed my garden was messy and ruined the street's uniform charm. I thought little of it until I received an official letter. She had reported me to the HOA for unapproved landscaping. And just like that, the battle over my own yard had begun. The letter threatened fines unless I restored my garden to its original state. Karen wanted me to rip out months of hard work. I attended the HOA meeting to defend myself, but Karen's voice carried over mine. She painted me as a troublemaker, a rule breaker who disrespected community standards. The board hesitated, swayed by her influence. I left humiliated but not defeated. The soil beneath my hands had always been my peace, my therapy. Instead of giving in, I decided I would show everyone the true value of my garden. The seed of my plan was planted that night. One researched local gardening contests and discovered the county held an annual Best Garden competition. It wasn't just about aesthetics. It celebrated sustainability, creativity, and community impact. My garden already reflected those values. If I could win, it would prove that Karen's judgment was more spite than truth. For weeks, I worked tirelessly. I pruned, replanted, and added vibrant perennials. I installed bee-friendly flowers and small solar lights along the path. Neighbors noticed my dedication. Some offered compliments, though Karen only glared harder. By the time registration closed, my garden stood prouder than it ever had before. Karen's complaints escalated. She snapped photos, accused me of attracting pests, and even told others my yard would lower property values. But while she obsessed over appearances, I focused on purpose. I built a rainwater collection system and added signage educating passers-by about pollinator plants. Children loved to stop by and look at the butterflies. Slowly, the neighborhood began to see my garden not as an eyesore, but as a sanctuary. Still, Karen muttered loudly each time she passed, insisting I would regret defying her. The judging day for the county contest was drawing near. When the judges arrived, I greeted them with nervous excitement. They walked through the rows, taking notes, asking questions about soil, plant selection, and eco-friendly methods. Karen stood at the edge of her driveway, arms crossed, waiting for any chance to sneer. The judges, however, were impressed. They admired the native flowers, praised the sustainability, and even smiled at the small vegetable patch. As they left, Karen scoffed, certain she had influenced them with her complaints. But deep down, I could sense she hadn't. The only thing left was to wait for the county's announcement. A month later, the results were revealed at the county fair. My name was called, and my garden was crowned Best Garden in the county. The crowd applauded, and photos of my yard were displayed for all to see. The recognition validated every hour of digging, watering, and nurturing. Word spread quickly back in the neighborhood. Some congratulated me warmly, while others whispered that Karen must be fuming, and she was. She stormed past my home that evening, her face red, refusing to acknowledge my win. But her silence said more than words ever could. Karen tried one last desperate move, demanding the HOA still enforce their rules. But the board hesitated now, wary of punishing someone who had just earned county recognition. They realized siding with Karen might backfire, exposing them as petty enforcers. My garden had become a local attraction, with visitors stopping to take photos. The HOA quietly dropped the complaints, claiming it was no longer a priority. Karen, however, could not hide her resentment. She avoided walking past my house altogether. Her reign of disapproval had finally cracked, and my garden had become untouchable. Seasons changed, and my garden continued to thrive. It became more than just plants in the soil. It became a symbol of resilience. Neighbors who once doubted me started asking for gardening tips. Children played near the flowers, and families enjoyed the sight. Karen remained bitter, trapped in her own anger, while my yard blossomed brighter each day. What started as an attempt to shame me had turned into my greatest achievement. In the end, my garden spoke louder than Karen's insults ever could, and it all began with her calling it ugly.